I just came in from feeding plants, so I've got squid juice on me and straw and looking pretty rough. But while I was out there, I had to harvest some herbs because the thing with herbs, and I know you guys who took the medicinal class probably know this because you've been growing them now, is that you've got to harvest certain ones throughout the season. Otherwise, they bolt or they flower or the root's not good, blah, 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 blah. So anyway, I was out there feeding and I noticed that I needed to cut the lemon balm because it's getting ready to get flower tops on it. And I noticed the white mountain sage needed to be cut. And I noticed that the wormwood needed to be cut. So I'm just going to go over a little bit of how to dry them. Someone sent me an email a couple of weeks ago about how to dry their tea herbs. I think they were making mint, a specific mint tea or something. And it's easy, especially Colorado is so dry that you don't have to worry about things molding when you hang them to dry, right? So in your house is easy unless you're running a swamp cooler 24/7 and your house is damp, right? And every herb is different. So I wanted to go over that, the difference between what you can bunch together heavier and what you should spread apart. Again, in Colorado, we have like no humidity, so it's safe to do. It's dry and you're gonna have airflow in your home, especially if it's the summer and you have doors and windows open, even if it's only at night. So first of all, there's a difference in plants as far as their leafing goes. So do you see this wormwood? See how this is? It almost looks a little bit like a sage, right? So it has a tendency to be dry. The leaf itself, it's small and thin, right? And it has a tendency to be dry. So it will dry quickly. In the winter or the fall, you'll see as it starts to die, it dries and still looks intact, right? This leaf style is different than lemon balm. You see the difference? Lemon balm looks really moist, has lots of green, round leaves, different plant, okay? So this one will dry so much easier and quicker than this one. So this one, when you dry it, you can bunch it in bunches like this. Now again, if you live in a really wet area, if you're living in a humid state and you're running air conditioning and there's humidity everywhere, then you might want to spread this out into 2 instead of 1. Okay, so this is how I bunch wormwood. Now I just use a little bit of twine. This is, let's see, jute cord. I'm sorry, jute cord. You can get it online on Amazon or in Hobby Lobby, which I heard closed down, Michaels, etc. Right? It's thin, because this doesn't end up being very heavy, right? And I'll show you how to do it. So anyway, wormwood, lemon balm, and I have white mountain sage that I pulled today. Now, here's another thing. Sage is not sage. People think sage is all one thing. This sage is actually a medicinal sage that does specific things versus the sage that you see that you burn in the house, you know what I mean? Or that you pick out of your yard that's growing wild. It's a different kind of sage. We'll go over that later. But look at the leaves on this, right? Even though it's a sage, it has rounder, moister leaves to it versus a plant that looks like that. See that? Right? So this one will have a tendency to stay moist. So you want to do it in a thinner bunch than you would do the wormwood. Right? See the difference? Thinner bunch. Okay, so let me just show you how I do it. So I'll take a bunch. Let's do the lemon balm. It's very simple. So when I cut lemon balm, always remember, if you haven't done this, this is your first year doing lemon balm, or most any plant, when you cut it, don't cut it all back. It needs to be 30% intact. So this lemon balm bush, I have 4 huge bushes. I cut out of the actual middle, not the outside. I cut the tallest portion of the plant and I left that much at the bottom, and I left 30% of the plant on the outside so that it has its stability and that it can regrow and sustain itself and come back next year. Okay, so try not to cut the whole thing down when you're doing the herbs. So because I live in Colorado, I'm taking a bunch like this. Okay, here are the stems that I cut. I'm going to take a piece of jute, and of course my scissors are dull because I cut everything under God's sky with them. I have to buy scissors like every 2 months. Like this. wrap it around. You can't see that very well, right? And I do a knot here to hold it tight, and then I knot up here. Now I hang all of my herbs on little hangers I have around. Behind me there's one. I'll show you the big one I bought in New Mexico last year. It's a pot holder. I love it. It's a pot holder that has a ton of hooks on it, and then I added hooks in the middle. So then you just hang it. Now every herb will dry at a different time, right? This one's gonna dry not as quickly as this one. Okay, anything round leaved, deep green, very moist, takes longer to dry because there's more moisture in the leaf. I have a tendency to hang dry one, wet one, dry one, wet one, right? Because you don't want to have too much dampness in an area so that your herbs can actually dry quicker. So, simple, da da da, right? Hanging on these little pieces of twine. They're gonna hang right on your hanger. And let me just go over to that. Of course I have to climb off behind the table to do it. So let's take a look at that. All right, let me see if I can't get this. Here, I'm just gonna take it off. Okay. So I'm gonna hang the lemon balm there, wormwood here. See? See it? A hanger. Again, it's a pot rack. I got it in New Mexico, and I added those hooks. See the hooks in the middle? So there's more. Now I can add a bunch of hooks here too, right? So every time I find a place that sells these hooks, I buy them because I use them everywhere on the farm. But see, easy. Of course, I have spiders going all over me. They love the herb garden. Now this is mugwort that I dried. I think I talked about this a while back. This is mugwort that I hung probably, I don't know, a month ago. So it's almost ready to come off. Still a little green, right? So Colorado's really dry, easy to do. And anything that you're trying to dry works pretty much the same way. So if you've got any flower or herb, it pretty much works the same way. It's just, you just got to pay attention to the leaf moisture. So you know how thin your bunch can be and how long it will take to dry. So I think that's it. Someone emailed me and asked me if there was lemon balm available. It is available. You can buy it like it is, or you can wait until I have it dried. And I will do a video again on making tinctures. And I think I'm gonna, I might do some lip balm and some hand cream if I have time. It just takes so much time to get everything done. But I did want to go over this since I was actually physically doing it. And I will do a video or a post on White Mountain Sage about how great it is and what you can do with it. Okay.